You're not going to like this. And you know what? I don't think I'm betraying any confidences. Our group, okay? Grandy, Luke, Dibs, when you're here, we're always on a show thread together. And I know a lot of guys in that group, a lot of people outside of that group. When it comes to sports talk radio, sports media, Bay Area sports, there's a handful of people or more who are just like, I'm just sick of Draymond. Sick of Draymond Green. Can't do this anymore. And before I play any of this for you, here's what my overall take on all of this is. Draymond Green, to me, sounds retired. I've never seen someone do what he's doing when they're still playing. He is everywhere, every day. He is all over social media. He is all over TNT. He is doing all the things that players do when they're essentially done playing. They start to soften their relationship with the media and the public. They start to say yes to every single thing that's out there because they're building their post-playing brand. Add in a podcast and a guy who is willing to just blah, say it. He is talking about everyone. Let's get into a fight with Rasheed Wallace over who would win 04 Pistons versus the 16 Warriors. We're getting into this argument. We're going on Shaq's pod, and new comments get released every day. Let's go after Stephen A. Smith. Take a pause, take a week off. Now let's go after Skip Bayless. He is everywhere, every day. And that says to me, like, you don't care as much about playing anymore. That's what it feels like to me.
If he cared as much about playing anymore, he wouldn't do the things he does to get suspended.
It's another fair point. That's another fair point.
Because if I'm all about my team and winning and my teammates, which he used to be, maybe still is to some extent, and people tell you to reel it in, the whole thing is I can't control myself. That's an excuse. You can. If your priorities are that about my teammates and winning, then when you want to go after an official, you catch yourself. And maybe, and when some guy smacks you and you have that reputation and if I smack him back that I'm going to get suspended indefinitely, then you don't. And so when your priorities are set, and we're getting back to the thread we had earlier about winners win, Draymond was exactly what I'm talking about early in his career.
Yep.
A guy that's going to find a way to beat you, and he's a winner, and we can't win without him because he's going to find a way to piss you off, to beat you, scrap claw fight, whatever it takes to win. And then when you get that, and you're satisfied, and you have everything, and you have the house, and you have the money, and you have the rings, and where's your motivation come from? Well, maybe your motivation, maybe something other than winning is fueling him now. Maybe the attention that he's getting for his podcast and getting thrown out of games, even though he would never admit it, and the attention he's garnering from that, any publicity is good publicity for your post-playing career, is taking priorities. So while he was the very definition of a winning player, it's not about the stats. I don't care how many points I score, but I'm helping us win. I'm going to D up somebody. I'm going to get rebounds. I'm going to make passes. I'm going to make us a better team. I'm going to get in your ass in practice. I'm going to take rookies under my wing. I'm going to show them what it's like to play Golden State Warriors basketball. And then when your priorities shift because you have everything and you're satisfied, it seems like it's shifted for him. Like I don't dislike the guy, but in my opinion, if your priorities are winning another ring, then you wouldn't do things conducive to you missing any days whatsoever and not being there for your guys.
That's totally fair. It's totally fair.
That doesn't mean I hate him or like, oh, Draymond, I'm sick of Draymond. It's just like, if your priorities are where they're supposed to be, those things should not happen. Consistently.
You made a joke about an hour ago that like it was going to be a, E-Channel True Hollywood story about the Warriors someday.
It might be.
Yeah, but the crazy thing is Draymond's already telling it.
He is. He's lifting the curtain back before it's time to lift the curtain back.
He's telling it 3 months after telling stories about him and Steph saying, we ain't done. We ain't done. Well, if you're not done, you're not allowed to write the book yet. But Draymond is writing the book. This is the next page or the next chapter in the book where Draymond now admits how his behavior changed in the wake of him punching Jordan Poole. And I've tried to say this for a while. There must have been 1,000 other things going on there that we don't know about before and after the punch. You don't just punch someone because you're like, well, I didn't like what you said right there. You're not going to do. There was a dynamic at play, obviously, especially with the way they've all talked about it after the fact and what the team chose. But this, boy, if you didn't like Draymond before, wait till you hear this. On the Draymond Green show, Draymond admitting that he would consistently show up late to practices because of the vibe.
I was so embarrassed to be around our team last year when JP was still on the team that I came to everything. Like, I was probably late last season 20 times. And I just paid a fine because I was so embarrassed to, like, show my face in a time where it's like before everything started, that's when everybody, like, shooting the shit and, like, all the conversation. I was so embarrassed to show my face during those times that I would time everything up. Like, if we're on the road, I time it up to, like, the minute I need to get there. And if the elevator took a little bit longer than it was supposed to, I'd be late. Or if I'm leaving my crib, which is like 7 to 8 minutes away from the facility, I time it up to the minute of where I need to arrive. And if the red light right there in front of the Giants Stadium, Oracle Park, if the red light caught me, I'd be 2-3 minutes late. Like, ah. And so one of Steve's rules this year was like, Draymond, don't be late. And I'm never a late guy. I was never late in my career, but last year I couldn't show my face like before. Like, it was terrible. And so I was happy to be back on time this year.
Okay, so by the way, you hear someone in the background kind of going, yeah, okay, that's Kevon Looney. Has Kevon Looney on the podcast, and we'll have some comments from him in a little bit as well.
What's your take right there by what he said?
I know what Draymond thinks he's trying to say. He thinks he's trying to say he was embarrassed by his own behavior and the uncomfortable situation that he helped create. There's no way in hell, and this is often the problem with Draymond, there's no way in hell that that's the way it's going to land. Draymond is someone who will repeatedly make the mistake, and then in his mind, it is immediately forgiven and okay once he comes out publicly and says, my bad, I messed that up. And that's why he gets so upset at Stephen A. or anyone at this station or whatever when he hears them be critical of what he just did. It's like, no. I can mess up and then I'll apologize for it and then that's it. It's over. You can't be critical of me for it. I mean, look at the way he handled Jordan Poole. I apologized to his parents. I apologized to him. But he never really forgave me. And then the second he was traded, Jordan Poole, this guy, he started taking shots at him.
So what'd you take from that? What's your knee jerk when you hear that for the first time? I'd love to hear from people listening too.
That Draymond Green has a hard time with how his commentary lands.
I went way deeper.
Go deeper.
I went way deeper.
Go deeper.
That they didn't work it out, obviously, and that you're not man enough to face the guy you punched, so you're going to be late to everything, and then you're going to think it's cute that you were late. Like, if you really thought you were sorry and you guys had a talk and that was it and you squashed it, you wouldn't have to run from it. If you're late because you feel awkward and you're embarrassed, then you knew you were wrong, you didn't address it, and you're not man enough to address it. Like, if I punch you and we don't work it out, yeah, I'm going to be late. I don't want to see you because I know I was wrong and we didn't hash it out, and I'm not man enough to, like, look you in the eye. Like, if you're going to run from that all season long and be late on purpose because of something you did, like, that speaks volumes to me. Like, that's way more than he's joking about it, and he's basically saying I was wrong without saying I was wrong.
Oh, and he's also talking to the guy who, by the way, Steve Kerr said is our moral compass, Kevon Looney. Speaking of which, take a listen. There's more. Here's Draymond talking to Kevon Looney about how it used to be at one point taking Looney and Poole under his wing.
For me, I've tried to teach and instill everything I know into this man right here because I felt like that was my duty. Take a young guy under your wing. It is the best feeling. By the way, it was the same thing for me with Jordan Poole. When I took JP under my wing, and to see him have success was the best thing for me. One of the worst feelings I've ever had as an NBA basketball player was seeing him get a contract and knowing that I f***ed it off and I couldn't celebrate his contract with him. I think he had like a party or something with his people in San Francisco or something, and like to not be able to go celebrate that with him. And I f***ed it off like I did. I ain't going to sit here and act like I didn't. I f***ed it off. I take it on the chin. It is what it is. I don't hide from my ups, just like I don't hide from my wins. When I talk to y'all about the wins I have, and I tell you, don't let us win another championship, and then I tell you about it, I'm the same way with my losses. And I messed that one up, but it hurts.
See, that's what I'm getting at. You can hear the same thing repeatedly with Draymond, and I don't know how this affects Warrior basketball necessarily, other than that year they couldn't win a road game. And it's incredibly obvious why.
If you feel awkward around any teammate for the whole year that you have to be late to things because of that teammate, whatever happened between those teammates, that's not conducive to having chemistry or success.
Correct.
And if you go on every outlet and you have podcasts and you're going on Shaq's and you have your own, and then you get mad about people reacting to what you say, then don't go on podcasts and say it. If you get mad on people that have a job to do and have an opinion, if you get mad at them for reacting to you getting suspended and how you got suspended, then don't get suspended. It's that simple to me. But when you keep putting yourself out there for criticism and then you get mad about the criticism, then don't do those things. Like if you're playing bad baseball, play better. If you're getting suspended, don't get suspended. If you're worried about what people say based on what you say on every outlet, then don't say it. It's pretty simple. Mm-hmm. It's a very simple. And back in the day when they were winning the rings, none of this happened.
Well,
to this extent.
I think the unfortunate part for Draymond, and I'm someone who's still like, I get why the organization, I don't think they're perfect with it, but I get why they do what they do. I watch sports teams do this every year. They make exceptions for behavior because they think it helps them win. And I'm someone who still thinks that man right there helps the Warriors win basketball games. That's how I feel. The issue with this right here is when he keeps saying, I own it, I messed it up, I own it. I'll admit it here in front of a microphone. That was on me, I bleeped it up, I messed up, I own it. But you don't, Draymond. You don't own it because you only own it if it's you talking. That's the one thing that I would, and I'd say this to his face, I really would. It's just a suggestion, be honest with you, nothing else. If you really owned it, you wouldn't be so triggered when someone else had something to say about it too. You can't be the only one that's allowed to talk about it. That's not your job. Your job is in a public space. You make the amount of money you do because there are people who are interested in your job. There are a lot of people who make millions of dollars who have a job that nobody cares about. We don't know them. They're in corporations and they're up on the top floor. Don't meet them. Don't care what they do. Glad you make 5, 10, 15 million a year. Good for you. A lot of them live right here in the Bay Area. Probably listening to us right now. But Draymond, you make your millions because there are people out there who care about your actions and what you do. And when you mess up and then you go, I own it, but then you immediately like, but you're not allowed to talk about it. You can't have an opinion on it, only me. I said I own it, so it's over now. That's a one-way conversation. You don't get to do that.
That's not owning it.
You do, exactly.
That's not the definition of owning it.
Owning it means accepting everything that comes with it.
It's called accountability.
There you go.
And I would disagree. I would push back a little bit. They've made exceptions for Draymond because he helps them win. They've made exceptions for Draymond, and most teams do this because they don't want the story to get bigger if they discipline. The story becomes bigger and it has more life and it has more run if you react to it as an organization. So I would argue that the Warriors and organizations that don't act on things just want to go away. Whether that's right or wrong, in today's media cycle with social media and all the exposure, that if you're going to react to things as an organization and we're going to do this because he did that, then it becomes a bigger story. And I don't think they want to escalate things. So they're just like, yeah, he's going to be suspended. He'll come back. Whatever. He did. He did his time, so to speak. But like truly owning something and truly owning a mistake, in my opinion, I could be way off here, I'm not a psychologist, is like being accountable for it. Like, what could I have done better? Even if, accountability isn't blame. And I think that's a big misnomer with people. Like if you get in a car accident and somebody runs a red light and broadside you, your accountability is you decide to drive that day. You could have taken an Uber, you could have walked, you could have taken a bus, you could have rode your bike, but you decided to drive. Your accountability is I made a decision to drive. So like being accountable for mistakes in life doesn't mean you were wrong. It's not blame.
Correct.
It's just that there's a certain accountability that comes from making mistakes. And once you realize that, I'm getting deep, but it makes it easier to move through the mistake.
You should want it.
You should want it because now it's behind you.
Well,
and that's that.
I'd also argue that if there's not an accountability factor to whatever's going on, it means that nobody cares. Nobody cares. Did you hear the thing that Matt Kemp said recently?
No.
He was
yes.
When he talked about playing with the Padres, and he hated it because there was no accountability. Like I could hit 150 and nobody cared. Nobody was sitting at my locker going, what's going on? It was just like, just hit 150. See you tomorrow.
Did I text you this, my answer to that?
No.
I said, if you're a professional athlete and you need the media to keep you accountable, then you're not worth.
Okay. Fair. But
Matt Kemp has more talent on his pinky finger than I'll ever have.
Yeah, but
what a wonderful baseball player.
That's a totally fair comment.
But if you're blaming the media for keeping you accountable, then whoa.
I don't know that he was blaming. I think he was saying that he would rather play in an environment that holds people accountable.
Well, hold yourself accountable.
That's
not
fine.
Some beat writer.
That's fine. I don't know that he did. I don't know that he didn't. Yeah, you may be completely right. But my point is accountability comes along with care. Like, if there's no accountability, if there's nobody criticizing your action, nobody cares. Nobody cares. If you're in a relationship, okay, Father's Day's this weekend. Okay? If nobody gets you anything, how does that feel?
Uh-oh.
How does it feel? Are you listening, kids?
I don't know. I'm texting my son to go to the ball game on Sunday right now. I got to text him on Father's Day.
I always feel that way. Like if nobody's holding you accountable, if nobody's willing to say, hey, I didn't like that. Let's do this differently. And if you can't listen to that person and then go, okay, I want to get back, then indifference. It's total indifference, which is like the worst thing in the world, especially in sports. Indifference is the worst thing in the world.
I mean, hindsight being 2020, but I think the way you handle that thing, and I don't know that he handled it this way, and I could be wrong. I mean, I was doing radio when this happened, is you come out and say, I totally messed up. Like what I did was absolutely unacceptable. I apologize to Jordan Poole and his family. That should have never happened. I lost my cool, and I was absolutely wrong.
I think he did that. He did that. He did. He came out and said...
Like that? Or was it
not word for word, but he apologized to Jordan Poole's family. The problem is the apology gets robbed where every month that goes by, you start to soften your apology and up your attack. And by the time Jordan Poole got traded, Draymond started to sound like he was blaming Jordan.
Wait, I'm getting them mixed up because the one I remember, and maybe we have the sound, the one I remember is there was a lot of alluding to the fact that he had his reasons for why he did it. And not just completely owning it.
That was way later.
Okay.
Like in the moment when he first spoke after it.
Okay.
Yeah. I apologized to his family. I do remember that, right? He apologized to Jordan Poole's family.
You don't have to apologize to my family ever. Apologize to me.
Yeah, right?
My family had nothing to do with it other than having me.
If somebody broke my jaw and apologized to my mom,
yeah,
what the hell's my mom got to do with this? I'm the one who can't talk.
Maybe that's just him feeling like that's what he needed to do. And you can't criticize apologies, but I don't know. Just apologize to me.
Let's hear from Austin and San Jose. Kyle Harrison's dad, Chris, can be on here in about 10 minutes. Hey, Austin, what's going on? You're on with Willard and FP.
My buddy, I'm calling up because I can't agree with you. Come on, man. We don't have a show.
If you can agree with me, I'd hang up on you right now.
Hey, and listen, the psychoanalysis of my guy Draymond is amazing to me. I mean, listen, the guy is, first of all, he's an entertainer. He plays basketball. He's got a podcast. He's telling you guys what's going on. He's telling you guys what he thinks. He's being transparent. You don't have to like what he's saying, but he's telling you what's going on. He's even giving you some background to what he thought, what he admitted that he did wrong. I mean, I'm not sure what you guys what from the guy? And then FP sort of going deeper, and the guy is not a man, and all this. What are we doing here?
You're hiding from a teammate. I've never hidden from a teammate all year. You were hiding from a teammate that you punch? You're late on purpose?
Why is he hiding? Why is the interpretation that he's hiding from anybody? I don't think he's hiding.
Because he was embarrassed about what he did. He said it. He said his quote. He's embarrassed about what he did, so I was late to everything.
Said he wouldn't show up.
Oh, so now we're on the radio saying that Draymond was hiding from his teammate. I mean,
he was avoiding
you don't actually believe that.
He was avoiding a teammate and being late to team functions because he didn't want to run into him.
Austin, is that not what you heard him say?
This is not high school, dude. You're a grown man. This is professional sports.
And by the way, just because he's being transparent and you just said you don't have to like what he said, you're right, and we don't, and that's all we're saying. That's all. Like
conclusion. But you're drawing conclusions, Mark. That's all I'm saying. You're drawing conclusions.
Which ones?
If you're out there on every platform saying everything you want to say and you're airing it out, then it's for us to comment on it. If you don't want us to comment on it, then don't say it.
Well, why are you going to the conclusion that he's somehow ducking his team out?
He just said he was. He was late to things because he didn't want to see his teammate.
Austin,
listen to it again, dude.
Austin, we got a boogie.
He was late to things because he didn't want to run into Jordan Poole. What do you call that?
Yeah, that's avoidance.
That's not how it goes in professional sports, dude. Sorry.
That's avoidance.